FES welding stick, Andre.
Okay, so we talked about the MIG, right? Now we are over here on the stick welding. Those guys have been practicing already. If you can show it to them, Jason. They've been welding the 1/2 inches and the 1 inches, right? The stick welder, I find it's a little more complicated than the MIG, you know, because it's not wire fed. Like you have to actually, you don't just have to control the flow, how fast or how slow you will go left or right or left, right? You have to control on the way down as well, you know, depending how hot it is and stuff.
So you control your feed.
Yeah, that's what makes it, you know, like doing 2 jobs at once. So at the same time you're going this way, you're also going down because it's eating away at your
Rod.
At your welding rod, you know, fast or slow depending on your, you know what I mean, on your heat there. So that's why I find it more complicated. You're doing 2 things at once. Over there, you're not worrying about the feed because it's coming at you at the speed that you already preset it, you know, first. But this, everything else applies, you know what I mean? But for everything else, the same rule applies. You gotta lock your body to your place, to the table that you're working with. You hold it with both hands, right? And it helps to have a welding mask like this that you can see clear right before it sparks, you know, and then it goes dark. You hold it with both hands, and then you start welding. You know what I mean? First, you do a practice run. Make sure there's no obstruction. Nothing's gonna stop you midway and make you, you know, stop your flow, right? And then you go, you know. Again, you guys are beginnings, right? Beginners, so all you're gonna have to do is 1/4 inch welding, 1/2 inch welding.
Now you almost say that like a 1/2 inch weld would be easier than a 4-inch weld.
Huh?
You say that as though a 1/2 inch weld is easier than a 4-inch weld. I mean, once you get the feel, is it just because you don't want us to waste sticks, or?
No. We want you to master small. Actually,
I mean, but couldn't you? I mean,
the longer you stay at it, the longer you. This is a 1/2 inch thick material. Try welding 2 1/8 plates together make it a 4-inch weld. Before you get to 4 inches, you're gonna melt the steel away if you don't know what you're doing. You know what I mean? So this is very thick. You can't even feel it, you know. Like, you can stay in it. You can even feel that shit melting through, right? But like you're gonna be doing rails angle 2x2x8 angles all the time, you know. So if you don't know how to set the heat and stuff, you are gonna melt through that thing, you know. This 1/2 inch solid stuff, you know, really gonna melt through. You know what I mean? No matter how hot you put it.
You could fucking melt a stick right between them, huh?
It's not gonna go through that.
It'd take you a minute to melt that shit.
You know, I was here welding, and I actually did a 3-inch weld. Nothing. I don't even know what my
I think I filled them all up, to be honest. I think I filled it. I think that was it there, and I put a whole bunch in between.
Oh, okay. So I actually did a 3-inch weld here. You know, and nothing got melted, nothing, because it's solid, right? So that's why we practice 1/2 inch. You know, try to master the 1/2 inch and stuff, because you're not going to be welding. You're not going to always be welding thick material that's going to be able to withstand the heat without melting through and stuff. You know.
Okay, I was wondering why it was hotter.
1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. You know. Because again, the bigger it is, the harder it is to control it as well. So
well, so if you were gonna do a 4-inch weld, you'd want to probably pick up your speed.
Yes, you don't want to linger too long, especially with the thin,
Longer, yeah.
especially with the tin material, because it's gonna change everything. The material starts melting, and the walls become flatter because it's, you know,
Settling in, fusing.
Yeah, you know, it's less bumpy, you know, so everything.
That's good though. You want nice, smooth welds, right?
Yeah, everything comes into play on a longer welding between 2 and 4 inches or whatever. So, you guys probably noticed already, welds require focus. So, obviously a 2-inch weld requires more focus than a 1/2 inch weld, right? When you're in attack, you know what I mean? doing half-inch weld, you know what I mean? But between half-inch and 2 inches, is a lot more focus. You gotta be really, you know, keep that steady pace, you know, as you go right, you're going down at the same steady pace to make sure it stays uniform in the same, you know, in the same size and everything.
I
So
see.
it requires more focus the more
Do
big it is.
Do you recommend any difference between pushing or pulling the rod? Dragging it or pushing it?
The way I do it is I drag it. I make sure it's away from. I make sure I can see the bead there, and I drag it. You know what I mean? I make sure. I always gotta make sure. You know, I do it like this, or like this, right?
So you're usually always
Always make sure you can see your pathway. You know,
Yep.
don't let the clamp, right? Don't let the clamp get in your way. You know, the trigger. You know what I mean?
so
You
you
gotta make sure you see where you're going. You know, because the end.